In November of 2008, on the heels of Barack Obama's victory in the United States, a 12-member delegation of U.S. labor educators traveled to Vietnam to meet with labor educators and labor leaders. We visited the Vietnam National Labor Federation, the Trade Union University of Vietnam, the International Labor Organization, 2 separate provincial labor federations, and 3 separate unions, the garment workers, the mine workers, and the public sector union. The 12-member delegation came from all over the country: New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Minneapolis, and Los Angeles, and represented both university and union-based labor educators. Our first stop was the Hanoi headquarters of the Vietnam General Confederation of Labor, the VGCL. There, key leaders explained the structure of the Vietnamese union movement, its role in society, and the challenges facing Vietnamese workers and unions. Over the past few decades, Vietnam has opened its economy to private ownership and has seen a huge increase in foreign investment. Vietnam now allows private investment in state-run enterprises and has created enterprise zones where familiar patterns of globalized production are fueled by U.S. and multinational capital. The foreign direct investment sector has drastically reshaped the balance of power for a large number of workers.
In terms of the 15 million workers, wage earners, how many are in the foreign sector?
About 1 to 2 million. 1.2 million.
As in all our meetings, the exchange of ideas and information was followed by a warm exchange of gifts.
This is a poster that celebrates the labor's participation in the election, 2008 election.
The week before we arrived, the 10th Congress of the VGCL set a new major organizing objective: 1.5 million new members in the coming 5 years, after having achieved an increase of 1 million members in the last 5 years in both the state and foreign direct investment sectors.
That's the slogan of the VGCL Congress, which took place last week.
Okay.
Changing dramatically the trade union activities with a special focus on the function of representing and protecting workers' rights and interests, contributing to the social economic development of the country.
From 1995 to 2005 and now 2008, they started seeing a rapid rise in strikes, and these were wildcat strikes.
At the International Labor Organization, we learned more about the pressures and challenges facing Vietnamese workers and their sometimes spontaneous labor actions in the free enterprise zones.
Okay, this year alone, this is 2008, there have been over 700 strikes by the end of the year.
Wow.
And typically the way that the government responds to these strikes is they send in mediators, government mediators. One thing that everybody agrees on is that the solution to these strikes is to improve labor relations and to improve the capacity of the different actors who are in that labor relations relationship.
ILO staff also briefed us on their tripartite training initiative launched throughout Vietnam, bringing together government, labor, and management representatives, and how U.S. unions and labor educators could be of help.
I think what you have to offer, I mean, the expertise and the areas that you all have, I think it's going to be, it'll be very welcome. It's very needed here.
Formal diplomatic relations between Vietnam and the U.S. were established under the Clinton administration. Bill Clinton traveled to Vietnam and was warmly received. And yet, to date, there is no formal relationship between the unions of Vietnam and the United States.
My thinking is that the irony of this whole thing is that if there is a country to which the U.S. owes in terms of reconstruction, it's this one.
The hope of the participants in this delegation is that by learning more about Vietnam and continuing exchange and dialogue, we will help pave the ground for an expanded relationship between the union movements of both countries.
I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here.
The one thing that I shared with some people before was that I really feel very emotional to be here. This morning when we were in a room with the statue of Ho Chi Minh, I really teared up. I'm doing it again, but it's, to me, you know, the anti-war movement was a really defining movement for me, and to finally be in Vietnam is just extraordinary.
Bé cô vậy? Nói chuyện cổ.
Perfect. He's doing quite well. I actually am really enjoying this experience, like being in a group in Vietnam without my family. It's a very different. I'm seeing this country from a very different lens.
Oh.
So, looking forward to the rest of this trip.
Hanoi is a gorgeous city. It's a very active, vibrant place. I'm really amazed by just the level of energy, I mean, the people. It's also, from the meetings at the VGCL, it's clear it's a country in transition.
I never thought that there would be so many younger men and women here. It's almost like they are in the majority. Yeah, this has been a fabulous experience, really, for me. And the fact that I'm sharing it with my daughter, Maribel, makes it even more worthwhile.
Vietnam is a very dynamic and youthful country. Their baby boom came after the end of the war in 1975, and as a consequence, over 2/3 of the people of Vietnam are under 30 years old. This means that a great number of new labor leaders, like those being educated at the Trade Union University, are young.
So this afternoon, I'm going to call on a few of my colleagues to share some of the challenges and opportunities in their work, working with unions and in the field of labor education in the United States.
When we spoke to a class of 100 trade union leaders, we discovered that the median age of the students who attended our lecture was 28 years old.
All right, here we go. Soon and very soon, we are going to change this world. Clap, clap. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. It's gonna last forever and ever. We are going to change the world.
We toured a garment factory and a new industrial park outside Hanoi, and in our meetings with the Regional Labor Federation and the Garment Worker Union, we learned more about the structure of private investment in state-owned enterprises through a process called equitization. Here, as is the general rule, the state retains majority share in an equitized company, while the workers often own between 20 and 30%. The remaining portion is open to foreign investment. There are many women in the Vietnamese labor movement, and some, like the former national head of the VGCL, rise to important leadership positions. During many of the conversations we had, union leaders expressed concern about gender equity and the importance of promoting women within the labor movement.
Đánh dấu bước phát triển mới giữa công đoàn hai nước cũng như của công đoàn viên chức hai nước chúng ta. I think I consider this meeting is a new development of relationship between our union and colleagues in America.
In meeting after meeting, Vietnamese union leaders welcomed the idea of learning from the experience and knowledge of the U.S. labor movement, particularly in dealing with multinational corporations.
We look very much forward to having a delegation from U.S. to visit us and more cooperation in the future.
Trước mắt thì chúng ta sẽ thúc đẩy theo con đường thông tin.
We keep in touch, okay?
Yes.
So all they have a 4,000 workforce here, 4,000 people working.
How many?
4,000. This is one of the biggest open cut mine in Vietnam. But we have other mine in this area. This province we have many coal mine here in this area.
Is all the coal mining open pit, or is it also
50-50?
All the coal mines owned by the state, or they are private ownership?
It has been equitized but the government retained up to 91% of the share.
souffle. I'm loving it, especially after the 8 meals that I had this morning.
This is so beautiful.
It is beautiful. Wow.
I was, as we were cruising out into the bay, thinking about the lives of the people of Vietnam and how, unlike in the United States, where people hold on grudges and resentments about this war, you know, the lies that people told about, you know, protesters spitting on the returning soldiers and people holding on to that. And here we are in the country that was devastated by our government's war on the people. And I feel welcomed and honored by the people here and to be here and give honor to the spirits that have passed before us, to heal and to mend and to restore and to renew. And that's what life is about, and that's what the Vietnamese people are about.
All of us carry a lot of baggage when it comes to our thinking about Vietnam. We assume that everybody here thinks the same. We think of it as a very homogeneous society. We think of it as very narrowly ideological. And what I've learned, and I think all of us have learned, is that there's a diversity of ideas and that they are grappling with various new forms of organization and struggling with the big questions about how do you organize your society in a way that's meaningful and prosperous at the same time. So they've asked for our help. I think it's incumbent upon us to respond. And if our unions can't, for whatever political reasons, we as labor educators need to fill that void.
The 12 participants of this delegation learned a lot in a very short period of time and felt very positive about the exchange. In this era of globalization, it was the consensus of the group that this kind of dialogue was in the mutual interest of unions and workers in both countries. As a follow-up plan, in the fall of 2009, we will be organizing a return visit of U.S. labor educators who will put together a series of labor education programs at the Vietnam Trade Union University. The 12 members of our delegation remain committed to continue this process of exchange and dialogue.